They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right. Hey, team. Welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I am Josh, and I am joined by Luis Pessoa. And Luis, I am really grateful to have you. You have some really interesting stuff to dig into, and I want to get into all of it. So I'm eager to do that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor.
I'm going to kick us off with a lightning round. I got some fun questions. The goal is for it to be lightning-like, so moving quickly. But
Yeah.
if there's one that you're just especially compelled by, like,
Yeah, I'll try to be fast. Don't forget that I'm Portuguese and English is not my native language, so I might end up slipping on some of them. So that's
I'm
right.
not worried about. We got AI nowadays.
Yeah, cool.
We can fix it right up. Okay, you ready to rock?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna cheat and look at my notes here, and I'm giving away one of the big things that I want to get into later. What are you more proud of, competing at the CrossFit Games or your 9-year professional soccer career?
CrossFit Games. Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson you learned from playing sports?
I don't know how to say it in English. Just companionship. Having
Yeah,
yeah,
like team camaraderie,
camera.
companionship.
Yeah, that's it.
What do you think is a better test of fitness, CrossFit or soccer?
CrossFit.
What do you enjoy more, competing or training?
Training. Yeah, training.
Yeah, the competition can be a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Question 5. Do you have any hidden talents?
Really good at learning new programming languages. That's something that's a talent. I can learn a programming language in about 2-3 days. So
Seems like a talent to me. I'm a little jealous. I wish I could. I have lots of ideas I'd like to create, but I
yeah.
can't program to save my life. Do you think your younger self would be impressed by the athlete that you are today?
Yes.
It should be, man. Impressive. And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be more patient, especially when I was a soccer player. To be more patient. That really
Okay.
messed up my career sometimes.
During competition, what's your go-to?
You're gonna laugh at this. I really enjoy rice, beans, and meat during competition. That's
Really?
yeah, Brazilian stuff. I don't feel those jitters for that guys have before competition. They just can't eat. I can't eat anything.
Oh,
So
man.
rice and
That's a
beans.
post-event meal for me, but I would be straight to the bathroom if that was a
Yeah.
pre-event meal. That wouldn't go well. What's your most memorable moment of the CrossFit game? You were there in 2024, just this last year,
Yeah,
yeah?
like your first event, man. It's like when everything like you see that everything you worked for became real and you say
Mm.
like, yeah, I made it. I'm here, gonna enjoy myself. That was the most memorable event for me.
Last question. What would you say is your greatest strength as an athlete?
I'm really good at things overhead, like overhead squats, snatches too. So that's my greatest strength. And when you have an event that has like strict stand push-ups and stuff like that, I can easily pace myself. Do you remember last year's semifinal event where you had the strict handstand push-up, double unders, chest to bar, box jump? It was one of the events. It was a
Yeah.
20-minute AMRAP.
Yes, I do remember that one.
I actually rested for 4.5 minutes during the WOD, and I finished 10th in the world because I was really good at the strict handstand push-up. So I would do it really fast and then just rest to go in the other round. That's something that I'm good at.
Okay, that's our lightning round, man. Good job.
Thanks.
You're
So
great. And there's some good stuff in there that I want to make sure that we talk about. And for this next chapter, I want to dive right into your background and like soccer career. That's really cool, really interesting, super unique. I want you to kind of lead me there, but I want to start like even, as a kid, I'm sure you were an athlete as a kid, playing sports probably as a kid. Talk
Mhm.
me through like some of the things that you were involved in, how that shaped you, and ultimately how that led to professional soccer.
Yeah, well, my dad was a soccer player too. So since I was born, I was involved in the soccer world, right? My dad would take me to every game he was in, and I started playing soccer when I was around 4, 5 years old, on the streets in Portugal. So my dad didn't knew I played soccer. He
Mm.
knew that I liked it, but he didn't knew I played soccer. And I started playing on the streets. And one day, a friend of my dad's friends saw me playing, and he said, "Well, he's really good. So you should take him to a club, so a soccer team, to see if they want him to stay there." And he took me there, and I started playing soccer when I was 6, officially, like training every day. And besides that, my dad always pushed me to do other stuff like swimming, gymnastics. I actually did, I don't know, how's it called in English? It's a trampoline, the same thing in the US.
Are you like just going up and doing
Yeah.
flips?
And the spins and all that stuff, I also
Yeah,
did.
I don't know what the event's called, but I've seen it and it's
Yeah,
insane.
it was really cool. And also I did some surfing when I was a kid. Soccer was the sport that I loved the most. And then it came to a point that you had to decide, okay, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I started focusing everything on soccer.
About what age was that?
10, 10.
Okay, that's early.
From 10 to 17, I played at the junior leagues. And then when I was 17, I became professional, fully professional until I was 26. And then at 26, you either make it big or not. So I saw that I wasn't earning a lot of money. I wasn't going to become a really star player. And that was really painful for me because I was,
That's the dream, I'm sure.
and I was good. Everyone told me that I was good, but there's a lot going on. Also, you have agents, you have lots of politics. And 20 years ago, it wasn't that easy to make it to the big leagues. You had no internet, you didn't have YouTube, so you weren't seen.
Right.
And then at 26, I opted to, okay, I finished my degree, and I said, okay, I'm gonna work, gonna still play soccer until, well, I played soccer until I was 30, but it was in a lower league. It was good, nevertheless, but became a sort of frustration, you know. You worked so hard since you were a kid and you didn't make it. And that's why I told you, well, for me, making it to the games was a big achievement. It was like something like, well, I'm actually good, you know. And you think,
Even
what?
though you're not being paid, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
you're truly a professional in one sport, but making it to the games was more memorable for you. Like, help me understand that. I love that. Help me understand why that's true for you.
You understand that we work, right? So we have our professional life, like it occupies almost all of our day, and we still find time to do the work at CrossFit and to make it to the games. You know that we have to give hand of everything. Like you normally don't go out as much. You have to eat well, sleep well. And my friends, well, they love to drink, so they love drink wine. They're always calling me, come and have some wine. And I tell them, no, I got to work out. And it was really nice for me to see that I was able to balance both things, professional life and the athlete life, and make it to well, to the highest stage of our sports, right? So that it was
Yeah.
really cool.
What I'm hearing you say, the way I'm interpreting it, because I mean, I can certainly relate, is like the level of sacrifice is different. While they're both dreams, when you're doing nothing but, and your whole life revolves around soccer, I mean, in a way, you're sacrificing a lot
Yes, for
to
sure.
provide that level of commitment. So there's no question that the sacrifice is very real, but that is clearly the only priority at that stage of life, you know,
Exactly.
whether it's family and kids or jobs, like that is everything. So you can just fully invest versus the CrossFit games. It's a small fraction of all that is going on in your life.
Yeah.
And while it is a priority, it's probably not the number one priority. So still to achieve that dream, even though it's a fraction, getting a fraction of your energy and time, that is pretty cool. It does make it a little bit sweeter when that
Yeah.
dream comes
Yeah.
true.
And the percentage of people that actually make it is really, really small, right? The numbers, well, you're up on the 0.001% of people that make it to the game. So that's really impressive. And it was also nice for me because my dad is 70 years old and he's doing CrossFit now
Hmm.
for 5 years. And he was really proud of me, man. That was really cool. He called me, and my dad is one of those guys that he's emotional, but he doesn't show it, you know? And the time he actually showed it, he was really, really happy. And I was like, man, I never seen you like that before.
I'm glad he got to experience it through you. That's a cool memory.
Yeah, yeah. He was because he was also frustrated with soccer because he also believed a lot in me, you know?
Hmm.
And see me achieve something in sports, that's something that he loves. Well, it made him happy, and I was happy also for him.
That's cool. That adds to the accomplishment for sure. As part of your journey to the games, Boulder was part of that experience, I think, right? Because you've been doing Boulder for about a year and a half, you said, which is like essentially back in its infancy,
Yes.
even though it still feels kind of where we are. But you truly were there on like the very beginning. And like,
Yeah.
what role did that play for you? How did you come to join Boulder? And then what role did that play for you and kind of your journey to the games?
I was doing well when I started CrossFit, I did it for the looks, you know. I live in Brazil, man, and you go to the beach, everyone is really fit, so I did it. I got to be fit too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did it for the looks. Also, I enjoyed the workouts. It was really nice. And then after 3.5 years, somebody asked me, "Oh, do you want to compete?" I said, "Yeah, for sure." And I started training a bit harder. And then I think it was in 2021. I had a couple of friends here in Brazil that started doing mayhem. They know Gui Malheiros,
Hmm.
and then when they came back, they said, "Yeah, we're doing Mayhem. Do you want to join us? They have a master's program." I said, "Yeah, cool. I can do it." And I started doing Mayhem, and Jason was at Mayhem at the time, right?
Hmm.
I started knowing a bit more about Jason, what he achieved, his story, and I said, Man, this guy is a beast. So I'm gonna follow him and see what he does because if he wins and he's doing Mayhem, probably it's good." And then I saw that Jason left Mayhem and started Boulder. I just followed him. Yeah.
Hmm.
I never talked with Jason before entering Boulder. That's a fact. But when I decided to join Boulder, I sent a message to Jason and I was really shy on doing it. I was like, yeah, he's not gonna reply, but I'm gonna send it anyway. And he answered me and he said, "Man, it's I'm so happy that you're here and let's do this." And I told him, "Man, in 1 year, I want to join you at the games." That this was in 2023, beginning of, yeah, 2022 at the end of 2023. And I told him, "Man, I want to join you at the games." No, at the end of 2023. And he said, "Let's do it." And Boulder basically helped me make it to the games. It filled all the gaps that I had. And everyone was so supportive from day one. And it made me, I think I wrote it to you, like it made me feel part of a family, you know. Instead at Mayhem it was okay, but here it's more of a community of masters athletes completely focused on us, the masters, and it made me feel well. The training was really good, pretty well balanced. And I saw an improvement in 6, 7 months that I didn't had in years. And I made it to the games. That's the best thing I can say about Boulder is like, well, it made me get to the games.
It's about as much proof as you need, like at
Yeah, and
the end of the
al-
game.
and also Jason is a guy that I think he's always available
Hmm.
to give you an opinion to help you. That was really nice. And Jason and everyone else at Boulder is there. Adam too, so everyone. And it's so good. I actually convinced my wife to join Boulder last year, and
That's awesome. She's doing boulder training as
yeah,
well.
she started 6 months ago.
How do you guys like navigate who gets to train when?
No, we do it at the same time.
You guys must have an incredibly strong marriage because that will put any married couple to the test.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you, we met just 1 year before the pandemic, and we moved in together in the pandemic. So if we survive the pandemic, yeah, we're okay. And it's nice. And she works in the same area as I do. So and we train together, and it's a pretty good relationship because she loves to do the same things that I do. And we don't compete against each other. We just, I don't
Just
care.
in the gym at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
sometimes she beats me and I get upset. Like, man, how did she beat me? She's
Yeah.
really
Does she let you know about it?
the thruster watch. She demolishes me,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I tell her, okay, go slow. I'll try to catch up.
That's awesome. I love that. Thanks for sharing that Boulder story. I have shared this in previous podcasts, but man, to say this a little bit differently, Boulder took me from a really fit place to a place that I've never been so confident in my fitness. And now I still have plenty of insecurities around my fitness, and those I use as fuel to drive me to be better every day. But as I look back at where I used to be, and I was on Mayhem programming, I went to the games on Mayhem programming.
I followed you on the leaderboards at Mayhem too.
Okay, that's cool. We got to talk about that. But Boulder has definitely taken me like a noticeable notch up in my fitness. Now, I'm realistic. That doesn't mean I'm going to automatically go to the games again because this is a very different season. We have a lot of really incredible athletes. And so I'm not basing Boulder's success for me on whether or not I make it to the games, but there is no comparison when I look at how fit I am now versus where I was a year ago. It is very different. So, yeah, the programming has certainly paid off.
I can tell you that I saw the difference. The training here is more focused in strength. That's why you see guys from Brazil lifting lots of weights. But it's not focused on building your engine. And that's what I felt when I went to Mayhem a little bit, but even more when I got to Boulder. So
Yeah.
my engine is really good. I don't lift as many weights as I did before. Of course, I'm older. That's normal. But my engine is much better. And as you said, I feel more prepared. And as we talked at the beginning, I'm also a bit scared of this year because there's a lot of guys. And since I was there the year before, it's like I have a feeling that I should do it again, and I must.
Yeah.
Like a pressure. The pressure is a bit more, right? There's a
Yeah.
bit more pressure. People look at you and say, "Yeah, you're a games athlete. You should be able to get back to the games." And that's not like it's not how it works.
Let's talk about that. There's a few things there. I feel this a lot. So what you just said really strikes a chord with me. There's both pressure that you put on yourself. You know, you have your own new obligation. Like, well, now because I did it before, I kind of expect myself to do it again. But you're also, battling all of these truths that are, okay, it's a different year, it's a different set of athletes. The way that this season is evolved is totally different. There's different stages. Like, there's nothing the same about this year than last year. So you just can't compare the two yet. Knowing all that and logically thinking through all that, you still go, but I did it last year, and so I kind of expect myself to do it again this year. So there's all of that. And then there's what you said, which is like your buddies look at you and they're like, well, you're a games athlete. And you just get tagged with that. And somehow that magically makes you a different person and qualifies you in a different way. And you're like, no, man, I
Exactly.
don't see myself any differently.
Exactly. I saw that when I qualified last year, we had the nationals here in Brazil afterwards. In between the national qualifiers for the finals here in Brazil, we're in between the games and our semifinals at the games. And I went to an in-person event because the semifinals here are in person. And man, people were like, you're gonna win this easily. Man, no. That's not how it works. I'm still the same guy that competed against you last year and you kicked my ass. Like, so it doesn't work that way. There are lots of factors that come into play when you're doing a competition, right? Like that. I haven't changed a bit. That's something that, as you said, people think that we change in our head, but I feel exactly the same as I was 1 year before, like relationship with other guys.
100%. We have this, in fact, just today, we were having a bit of this conversation with a group of buddies on this text thread because we had this great conversation on the last podcast with Christy Owasco about like belief in yourself and this assumption that just because you're a really competitive athlete, you must have great confidence and great belief. And I have had this conversation with so many of my buddies who I look at and I'm like, you are an absolute animal. And I make a bit of an assumption for them that they should just be confident. Yet at the same time, I know that I don't have the confidence that I should have or want to have. And that seems really thematic with almost the more competitive the athlete becomes, the more that lack of confidence is kind of a thing for them. And I'm hearing a little bit of that with you. And so I'm
Yeah,
relating to that.
yeah, it's like that. It really creeps in, you know? Like if you have a bad day, you start thinking like maybe I'm not that good as I thought I was. Maybe I will fail, or if I fail, will people think that I wasn't that good? So that comes to your mind lots of times. And it's really weird for me. It only happens to me in CrossFit. When I played soccer, I can tell you I didn't care. I would sleep before a final. Like I was sleeping 5 minutes before the final. I would go into the pitch and play like hell. But in CrossFit, because it's all up to you, you're doing it individually and
Yeah.
not as a team. It's really hard. You feel it before entering the arena. You're thinking all the time, and if I can't do it, and if I blew it, and if I go too fast, or if I go too slow, everything is on your head before, during, and after. And after is even worse. You think I should have gone faster, or I should have gone slower. I could have done this. So it's if you go higher on the scale, I think it becomes harder for you.
That is such a great point. I haven't thought about it like that, but that's so true. I played team sports my whole life, and football was my primary sport. And so like there's not a single play where one person is responsible for the
Yeah.
whole play. Somebody new touches the ball every play. Soccer, you absolutely say the same thing. And so win or lose or whatever, you walk away going like, hey, clearly this was a team outcome. And you can point to 25 different things that contributed to either the win or the loss. And so it instantly like dissolves that pressure that you put on yourself. Now you can still walk away from a team sport and feel an, a crazy amount of pressure and disappointment and all of that because of your own play and maybe what you had expected to deliver and didn't. That's all real. Totally been there. But you're right, man, this is not that. CrossFit individual, it ain't a team sport. It's all on you, and you do feel the pressure on both sides of the coin when it's a successful outcome and when it's not, and that's heavy.
That's really heavy. One of the things that made me improve as an athlete in CrossFit was trying to not put that kind of pressure on me. It's something that I do in my personal life, my work.
Mm.
Did it in soccer, and I started doing it in CrossFit. And my wife was really helped me with that. She's Japanese, and she has a completely different mindset. She's really calm and like whatever happens, it will happen. So don't worry about it. And she taught me to handle that. It was really great. And it helped me a lot in competition because I got so anxious, really anxious. And nowadays I can just, okay, I'm giving my best. That's what I can do. And I can't control anything else. So I'll do what I have to do. It was really great for me to meet her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she completes me like Jerry Maguire. You complete me.
Gosh, you're hitting on some really great and like powerful things. I want to hear more from you on this, which is like how do you reinforce that on a daily basis? Because there's obviously these moments where you're in competition, where the pressure's high, maybe the nerves are the highest, and you're trying to like stay calm and under control and focus on the things that you can control. Very good approach. But there's a year's worth of training,
Mhm.
many training sessions that lead up to that. How do you navigate that on a daily basis where, you don't get too anxious about the training session? You don't get too disappointed if you didn't have a good day. Is there like a mantra that you say to
No,
yourself? Like how do you go through that?
if I had a burnout in 2018, more or less, and after it, uh, I became a person that was really anxious. You know, I was my mind was always you're gonna die as a young man.
Mm.
Yeah, every day for
Oh wow.
4.5 years. I was doing some treatment with prescription drugs. It wasn't nice. And then CrossFit itself helped me get out of that loop in my head. And that the game's objective also helped me a lot. So I talked with my wife and she told me, man, I know you have the physical capabilities to do it, but your head is messed up. So you need to try to fix things in your head. So I started doing therapy, which people tend to think it's baloney, but it's not, man. It's like open up to someone that doesn't know you and can tell anything. It's really good. I've been doing it until today. I do therapy and I talk about my training sessions with my therapist. Like, was it good? I got frustrated. On a daily basis, I get frustrated. There are some days that I can't work out as I want to, but what I understood is it's normal. You won't be okay every day. Uh, you have your work, you have your problems besides CrossFit, so that messes you up for working out. So it's okay to have bad days. That's what I was able to understand. And another thing that's really dumb, you might think it's dumb, but for me it was really good. I work out without any kind of music,
Hmm.
nothing, just hearing myself breathing and suffering. And that helped me improve my focus and understand myself a little bit better. And that's basically it. And I think getting to know that it's okay to have some failure during your training, it's okay. That's what helped me a lot.
Man, that's so spot on. So much of that that you said is spot on. You think of like, if you look at this is true for any division, any age group, men, women, all the elites, everybody physically is so capable. Yeah, there are some that are a little bit more differentiated than others, but on the whole, everybody is just incredible athletes. The differentiator is really what's going on upstairs. Like how do you handle adversity? How do you handle fatigue? How do you deal with the physical discomfort that you're feeling in the midst of a really dark session? And I find that those are the people that are the most successful, that have the mental tactics to combat those moments
Sure.
and then have a really thoughtful and intentional approach going into the workout. Like how do they prepare themselves mentally for what's about to come? And yeah, that clearly is the difference. I'm no master at that, but I have some strengths there that help me. I get as frustrated and disappointed and annoyed as the next guy and all the training days. But I find that there's a level of resilience there that is really critical to have. You got to be able to get past that then quickly. You could
Sure.
feel the same human emotions, but do you wallow in them or do you move on and
Sure.
focus on the things that you control, which is what you said earlier, and I could not agree more.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I admire in Jason. I remember talking to him when he was at Legends this year, and I knew he told me, man, I'm really sick on the last day. And I told him, yeah, you really, and he said, I just gonna battle for staying at the podium. And I told him, man, I know you're gonna win because your mind is so strong. I know on the last day you will push it. And he did it.
Hmm.
He's really good mentally. And that's an inspiration for me though. Also, that's one of the reasons that I came to Boulder because he's an inspiration.
On Jason, you had mentioned some things earlier, like when you text him, when you first joined Bowl, you're like, do I text him? Do I not? And then he texts right back. That is a very mini thing, but it does speak to who he is, what Boulder is.
Yes.
It's a fantastic community, and it is a humble community. Like Jason could easily be on his high horse, keep himself up on a pedestal, keep his distance from the community. You've seen so many athletes that are that accomplished that do that.
Yeah.
And that's just not who he is. And it sets the tone for the Boulder community.
Sure.
You know, we're all just regular folks here,
Yeah.
who happen to train a lot.
And you see that on the leaderboard interaction between everyone. Like I
Hmm.
know you personally, and I don't know if Kenny. I know Mike McCaslin now, but we started like giving high fives to everyone. It's really impressive, right? So everyone is putting in the work. So it's nice to have that sort of interaction between us, even if
So true. I love that. Last thing I want to talk about, just because we touched on this I think before I hit record, honestly was semis this year. And like, how are you feeling about it? Just tell us how'd you finish in the open? How are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts on going into semis?
Yeah. Well, I finished 15th in the open. It was way above than I was expecting.
Dude, congratulations. That's fantastic. Wow. 15th.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
The first WOD was nice for me. I'm good at burpees, so it was a nice result. I don't know, man. The semis are a different thing. What I've seen in the previous year, like I finished 130th in last year and at the Open, still on the quarters finals, and then I was on the first day of the semis. I was at 12th or 13th, and I had a really lousy last WOD, and I went up to 30th.
It was thrusters in
Yeah,
that
for sure.
30 thrusters to finish. Your favorite.
Yeah, it took me forever. I hate
Your
them.
wife probably loved it.
It's sort of a game, right? The semis, because you may end up getting a WOD that has a really lousy movement for you, and you have to minimize damage there.
Yeah.
And you have to play the game, play your strengths, your weaknesses, and say, okay, I need to minimize my damage here and go really well on this one because it's my strength. And this year, I will be doing the semis at Boulder in Alabama, so I'll be traveling there.
Okay.
And it was a way for me to
From Brazil.
Yeah, from Brazil. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt. I've been thinking, do I go down there as well? I thought my trip would be a long trip. You're coming from Brazil.
You should, man. Because it's something that will help me a lot being close to these athletes that are really good, and it will give you an idea on how your result is. That's also one of the worst parts of the blind leaderboard that we have, right? I don't know if I did well. I don't know if I didn't do well. Should I repeat it? Shouldn't I repeat it? That's the thing on semis that makes it much harder than the open. I can tell you in the open, I only did every WOD once. I didn't repeat. The last one, I wouldn't repeat it.
And you finished 15th. That's incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. You knew and I knew that in normal circumstances, we would pass to the semis, right? Because the number of people that are in the open make it like 200 and something qualify, and we know we are fit, right? So we will probably be there on the 200, but the semis are a completely different ballpark.
Yeah, and now only 30 go this year to the games.
Yeah. Do you think it will be harder this year? I think it will be harder for sure.
Without question. The one thing I'm actually excited about is this public review of video submissions. I can't say that I'm incredibly familiar with your movement quality, but given you're a former gymnast and you did these trampolines, like your body awareness has got to be really darn high. And your professional play, you got to have really incredible body awareness to do that, which tends to translate to really good movement quality,
Sure.
which then translates to efficient movements, improved fitness. It's taken you to the games. Like I'm making assumptions, but those are logical assumptions. And so then to get that on film benefits you, where you can demonstrate that, yeah, I've met all of the standards. I've met all the standards.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, and I try not to get caught up in it, but it's really hard to see some videos where you're like, oh my gosh, the guy finished 200 places above me, but look at that video.
Exactly.
It's atrocious. So that's hard to navigate mentally through the open. But here we are, and now going into semis, I'm grateful that there's going to be this public judgment.
Sure. Man, last year wasn't good. You know, they only saw one of my videos. I know for sure they only saw one, which was the one that they actually approved before the games, like the ring muscle up front squat stuff. Um,
Same.
yeah. So why? I know people that what they normally do, and I'm not gonna name it, but I know them. What they do is they submit the score and they put on some video that will be like with bad quality or something. And CrossFit, what they normally do is, oh, your video is not good. You have 24 hours to submit a good video or something like that. And they go out and try to achieve the result that they did. So probably someone may qualify and shouldn't be there because you, Josh, you did everything right. You filmed it right. You did the standards. You did all the movements right. But there's a guy that just cut corners, but someone didn't review the video because it was private and CrossFit didn't have enough people to look at it. You got to the games and you would stay out. Like, and now with this public review system, it will be nice. It will be nice, but let's see if they actually do something about it. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm optimistic that they will. There's a reason that this exists. I hope that they lean into the rationale that formed this process in the first place, which was trying to ensure that the right people that move well and are super dang fit move on.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a big controversy across CrossFit that you're going to have an army of folks that are just spending days watching videos and flagging it for CrossFit. So I think as long as people post videos, the public will.
Like crowdsourcing, you know? Yeah,
That's
they're
right.
doing it. There's another thing that I'm worried about is also, and I live in a country that has an history of that, like the performance enhancing drugs, you know. And last year there was a guy that was caught from Brazil in my
Oh,
my age group, right? And I knew he was doing it. He told me at the games, I'm doing this. And I told him, well, sorry for saying this. You're an idiot. And at the games itself, I think they also should do something regarding that, like having they tested the five first.
yeah. Top 5.
Yeah, but they should do a random. Probably it won't matter, but people will be afraid because there are some guys that just want to hit it, make it to the games to get a shirt with their name on.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I don't believe that sports should be sports. I'm talking about sports. People shouldn't do this at sports at a high level. They shouldn't do this. If they're doing it for health reasons, aesthetic reasons, man, you get my support. Whatever works for you. But if you're competing with someone like me or you that are putting in the work every day and you're robbing us from our spot because you're cheating, that's not good. I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. I share the same sentiment. If you want to, it's helping you live a better life, a quality of life, and you're not competing, man, absolutely go do it. Totally supportive. But in competition, it is different. There's a different set of ethics and morals that exist there that, you kind of hope people would align to more strongly. And that's not always the case. And that's really frustrating. We had one in our age group that won, and
Oh man, but you just had to look at him and you knew he was juiced.
yeah, there was no question about it. That was the talk of the whole backstage area. I was like, are we seeing all this? Everybody seeing this? Okay.
But the guy at our age group was the same. It was on the third day. He won the 3 events at the third day. He won all 3. We were wasted at the end of the 3, and he was like jumping around like happy as hell. And it was like, how aren't you tired? I'm tired. I'm really tired. And he was like, yeah, nothing happened.
Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah, he got caught. Yeah, I know him. I know him for years. He's actually a nice guy, you know.
Mhm.
But I told him, man, if you get caught, I won't be sad for you. I will be happy because you're cheating, man.
Luis, we have gone much longer than I thought we would, but this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and you've touched on so many things that I think are really like they're deep, they're introspective, they're powerful. I think that they're going to strike a chord with folks. All right, brother. Thank you again. I appreciate this.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me.